This is how I started a wireless ISP at 20 years old. I'm going to take you through the entire journey because this is something that I think a lot of people are interested in. And it's not what you quite think, but it's also not as difficult if you know what you're doing. But let's get on to that. A lot of villages, as you'll all know, rely on either one fibre provider or have fibre being non-existent at all. In my case, for 19 years, I was stuck with a fibre to cabinet connection with a 50 meg download and a 10 meg upload, which, you know what, for 19 years was okay, but with the growing demands of internet and more and more things becoming reliant on internet, there had to be a better way. Now, I was quite lucky because some places, as I'm sure a lot of you also know, don't have any fibre to cabinet, are still stuck on DSL, probably not even getting 10 meg. So it's difficult. It's difficult when you're stuck with that connection. Just after COVID, GigaClear decided to show up. Now, they started digging all the roads up. Why they didn't do it through COVID if they did social distance, I don't know. However, they decided to come and dig all the roads up, and they put all their infrastructure in, and they livened it up, I believe, by the end of 21, start of 22. I can't quite remember. Anyway, obviously everyone was excited, including myself, and I was thinking, yes, we can finally get faster internet, because they had some really good deals on to begin with. It was very exciting. But it quickly came out with all the villagers that decided to join and use their services that the reliability and the service uptime just wasn't great, and basically non-existent customer service. And obviously, you know, they're trying to do the full fibre revolution, but based on this that's all on the screen now, I don't think that's going to plan. So while I was still stuck with my 50 meg connection and didn't move to GigaClear purely because of those reliability and service issues, I decided there must be a better way. So I decided to start VisionAir Broadband. Now, people always ask me, how does it work? How do you do it? What actually goes into setting it up? Now, it's not as difficult as it seems, but it's also not as simple. Of course, you need a very fast backhaul feed of internet, and you need to be able to distribute it over the airspace. Now, people often ask me, is it 4G, 5G? Is it Starlink? No. Basically, what we do, in simple terms of me explaining it to you now, we have a dedicated fibre link that comes in that we paid to have put in. It's not a GigaClear link. We have a dedicated fibre that comes in. We send that into our routing and switching equipment. We then have radios that then send it out 360 degrees and blast it out within the Ofcom regulations and the dBm limits here in the UK for the type of equipment that we're using. Now, another thing, for the techie heads that know what I do, they often say, what equipment do you use? How do you do it? Ubiquiti. We absolutely love Ubiquiti. It just works. And don't get me wrong, there's one product, and I'm not going to say it here, it's a topic for a different video, that I've got from Ubiquiti that we bought for the company, and I was really disappointed. And it's the first Ubiquiti product I was so disappointed with having, because I could get more features out of an open source software, than what I could out of this dedicated appliance that I bought. We still use it, but I'll be deadly honest, I'm looking at other options for it because it just doesn't have the feature set that I believe it needs. But that aside, we send it out through wireless radios. We send it out in a few different locations. We're planning to add more locations to get it even more coverage out there. On the customer side, you get a little dish or a bigger dish, depending on where you are. We run a Cat5 cable or an Ethernet cable down from that dish into wherever you want your router, and then we obviously configure everything prior to it coming out to site. You're then basically online, as simple as that. Now we do all the speed limiting, everything is done by us. and that's it. But I think what I should do is, I'm really not proud to show you this at the minute, but I'm going to show you it anyway. It's the core rack at the minute that actually delivers the connectivity to our customers. So I'm going to take you there now. Well, I know what some of you are thinking. Oh my goodness, another messy cabinet. And yes, you'd be right. But again, I do have a confession, which I'll explain in a minute. But I'm sure that you lot are probably all laughing and going to absolutely rip me a new one, because it's exactly the same as my home lab cabinet, which I do have news on, by the way, is going to be sorted after some things I've been discussing behind the scenes. There's some exciting stuff coming for this. So this is going to be sorted quicker than you think, but I am incredibly busy with work. So of course, this is not the top of my priority. The main thing is that it works. But that aside, this is the topic of this video. So this rack was lovely. It was all blanked off. It looked lovely. I'll insert a picture on screen now of how it used to look. But things changed. So we had an office at one point, which was just down the road from here. So we had a direct path back to the network over the wireless infrastructure, and basically we actually had all our servers. Well, let me rewind. So we had all our everything was here to begin with, at my house, because that's where it's based. And then we had an office locally, so we moved all the servers down to there. We've since relocated offices, and our office is about 10 minutes away. So the servers and everything had to come back here, and to be fair, for it being locally closer to the switching and routing makes sense. So it's safer that it's here. But obviously, it's been another one of those tasks where these have actually been now sat for just under probably 10 months here, and it's just all been plugged in quickly and forgotten about because it needed to work. However, we are going to rebuild this cabinet as well. It's on the to-do list because I've got extra servers that I want to add, and I'm going to explain some of the roles of these servers. So let's start with the top two. These are Dell PowerEdge R210 version 2s. They have single 4-core Xeon processor and 16 gigs of RAM, a 500 gig boot drive, and a 2 terabyte RAID on each. Now, currently, these two run my Proxmox cluster. I'll be deadly honest, we are decommissioning Proxmox after this guy is now serving its new purpose. But this basically runs our UISP management software, which is Ubiquiti's ISP management for the radios, routing and switching that we have. It also runs something called TwinGate, which I'll put a screenshot on screen now, which is like a VPN software. We also have a couple of Windows VMs dotted about, and a backup DNS server for our main one. But that's all they do. But we've got some changes coming to these, and I think they'll deserve a dedicated video on that. I have actually got a third one of these, but it doesn't need to be used, so we've only run in the two. This is our Dell PowerEdge R320. Now this has some form of, I can't remember the exact model. It's got 16 core Xeon and 72 gigs of RAM, and this runs TrueNAS. Now we have our own TrueNAS box here, and then we also have a TrueNAS box in my friend's data center up in Blackpool. We back this up daily to his, to Blackpool, where we have another TrueNAS box, so that we've got an off-site copy. I am planning to pick up another one of these exactly the same, to get it, have a local copy as well. In here we've got three 4 terabyte drives, which give us, I think, usable capacity we've got is about 10 terabytes all in all, because we had to use one of the front bays as a boot drive because I didn't have an internal connection for it. But again, something on my list to sort out so that we can actually add a 4th disk to the array. Finally, down the bottom here, server-wise, we've got an an R430. This runs VMware ESXi, and yes, it's missing loads of disks. These were refurbished servers, but this is our ESXi host. This has got 64 gigs of RAM, and we're basically deprecating all of our VMs onto this server, and one of these machines is going to be running a bare metal appliance as well. But ESXi on here, love it, way better than Proxmox in my opinion, so that's what we're moving all our VMs to. Down the bottom as well, something that's very, very important, we have an Eaton 9PX UPS. This is an absolute monster, it's incredibly heavy, and well, to be fair, it does its job, it keeps the power running, it keeps all this stuff running, including these servers, full tilt for about at least an hour. Here in the middle of the rack, this is a Pulse Secure, what is it? It's a PCA 3000. Now, the reason I bought this is because this is just a skinned Supermicro box, and I got a great deal on it. If you boot the BIOS up, it's Supermicro, everything about it, it's just like a 1U Supermicro router. We have repurposed it to run free PBX, so this hosts our PBX solution for our customers, meaning we have a local server for them instead of them relying on a cloud provider. We host it, we manage it, and we sort it for them. It doesn't really do a lot, it just sits there and runs. We basically do no management to this thing, and that's that. A little monitor, I had to do some local logging into the servers because these run iDRAC 6 and don't have, the IPMI doesn't work anymore because obviously they run on Java. I've tried to get that working. If anybody knows how to get that working with Java, then please let me know because I would really like it to work. Anyway, so yeah, I had to use the local monitor, and then behind the back of there you're probably seeing two white pieces of equipment, and basically that's our routing and switching. Now I know it's a mess, this literally got thrown back in when I rebuilt the cabinet with all these servers coming back in. I know it's terrible, but it's functional. So this cable here is my personal WAN feed. This goes to my UDM, and then we have a 10 gig DAC cable between the WISP Router Pro, which is just down the bottom there, and the WISP Switch Pro, which is a 24 port passive PoE, 1 gig with 4 10 gig SFP ports. And to be fair, these don't miss a beat. They work, they run all the time. I can't complain, but I can complain about this. It's not great at all, but everything works, and that's the most important thing. Yes, I'm not proud of it because it should be tidy, and like I say, you'd have seen the pictures, and I'll show a picture of the rear of the cabinet before now on screen, and it did not look like this. So that was the back of the server rack, and the front of the server rack for that matter. Yeah, it's messy, and I'm not proud to sit here and say that, but as a business that is focused on delivering service to customers, the looks isn't important. The thing is functionality. Don't get me wrong, it's on the list to do this year because we are planning to do more rollouts of equipment. So part of the rollout will be upgrading some things here, because obviously the first year, let's face it, was sort of a trial period for us. So roll out more equipment, more sites, get more coverage, and of course, you know, make sure that our cabinets and everything are up to standards that we would install for a customer standardly, which I can assure you our customer cabinets do not look like that. They look spectacular. One thing that I do differently is when we bill a customer, I do it, I'm not a contract tying in company. So the way that we do it is we offer a 30-day rolling contract, meaning the customer gets more control over what they're paying for, which I think is a huge selling point for us, along with the community first support, right? We're not a big corporate. It's basically just me and a couple of mates that help me out, and we're local. So if anything goes wrong, you're not going through to a call center. You come straight through to me. So I think that's a huge selling point. Obviously, we offer different install options, and obviously, you know, we have a process that we go through in terms of getting a customer signed up, installed, surveyed. So the sort of way that it sort of goes is a customer will contact us either through our website, or they'll give us a call, or give me a call. I'll arrange a site survey with them. We'll do a line of sight check, seeing if we can actually get a connection to your premises. If so, we'll book an installation date. We'll run through the speed that we got on the survey, because the speed can vary depending on certain atmospherics, not weather, but certain atmospherics. That's a whole nother different type of video. We then come out, we book an installation date, we'll come and mount the radio, we'll get a cable ran from it into the property wherever you want your router to go. We'll align that antenna, we'll test the speed and latency of it. Obviously make sure that the expectations is what you thought there was going to be, and then obviously you've got your 30-day rolling contract, and if there's any issues then you give me a call and we'll deal with it there and then. Now, based on our UISP, which is this piece of software that you're seeing on the screen now, this is our management software for our business as a whole. So this is the way that we can see our customers, the amount of data that's going through our network, our service availability, which you can see just here amongst the numerous blanked out things, is 98.6%, which is obviously brilliant. And you'll see that our DNS latency is very, very fast. So that's obviously brilliant, and we obviously monitor everything continuously. We get emails if something goes wrong. I get notified straight away, and that's the important thing. Just being there for the customer and making sure that they are looked after, as they're paying their hard-earned money for a service that we are supplying. So it's important that we make sure that it's a good service. I think the next sort of things across this year, I've got a few things that I want to do. There's one, MicroPop, which is basically a site that we send internet to and out to, which we've got a couple of those already that I didn't really talk about in this video. There's so much you can talk about. So if you want to see more about the switches that we've got deployed and the other radios, and I'll actually take you down to a site where we've got a cabinet and stuff and I can show you, let me know, I'll do that. I think the future is getting another couple more micropops out there, so basically rebroadcasting our internet out again to expand its coverage to a few more local areas, because we cover my village pretty much wholly, but there's a few villages just on the outskirts of us that I'd like to get covered as well, because we have had inquiries from them. Improve the capacity, so the speed between links and stuff, so make the network faster as it gets out of here and downstream as it gets further down the chain. And just more importantly, just build something that is for the community, and not a big corporate, because that's not what my goal was. My goal was to supply good internet that just works, and so far I'm managing to do that mission. I appreciate you watching this video, guys. If there's any questions that you've got, drop them in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer them. I know I haven't showed too much, but I've given you a pretty basic rundown. I'll probably do a series on this and just create like a playlist on the channel of all the stuff to do with this side of what I do. And then, we can have a look more in depth at the switches that we use, how the equipment gets set up, actually setting up a pop, and really get into depth, because I don't think there's much videos like that around. So if you want to see that, drop a like, drop a subscribe, and drop a comment, let me know. And take it easy, guys, and I'll see you soon.